Chamber of Commerce. My name is Anthony, and
My name's David.
okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just go through the vision and mission of the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce. For people who are already members, hopefully you'll have seen a change since January of 2026, and we have a lot in store for you. So we're going to explain the vision, give everybody an opportunity to understand what we're doing in Redbridge, understand the benefits, and just answer some questions. We do have some members online, and we'll also be giving them an opportunity to talk about their business. So I think actually I'll just give Sukin an opportunity to introduce himself. I caught you eating, didn't I?
Sorry about that. I'm
That's
late
all right.
breakfast.
All right. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Sikan. I've spent years in industry, IT, um, finance, and recently converted into psychotherapy. Now I know it's quite a bit of a switch, but I've qualified as a psychotherapist, and I've transitioned over from my old project management career into this. And I've been working with my wife in the health sector. My wife's a nutritionist, and I work on the mindset. So people who are struggling to stick to a healthy lifestyle, I come in. My wife prescribes a healthy lifestyle, and I come in and help them unblock the negative beliefs that stop them from being able to stick to that healthy lifestyle.
Excellent. So what I'm going to do is give Asari an opportunity. I don't want to catch you off guard as well, Asari. So I'm giving you a heads up, and then we'll come back to you, Sukin.
Yep, no problem.
All right. The world famous. You're on mute.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Just as you see, I'm part of the Action Coach franchise. I live locally, and my job is over the last 14 years, now 15th year, is to help business owners to grow and develop their businesses to reach their goals quicker than they would do if they didn't have the support. So that's basically what I do, mostly coaching and training.
Excellent. And you're also involved in our retail group. I'm going to be talking about some of our subgroups, so we'll pull you back in on that. And Dave, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is David Corbishley. The main industry I work in is team coaching, working with leadership teams, organizations, anywhere from a team of 3 up to teams of 20, 30, helping them to streamline their processes, hold each other to account, and improve productivity.
Excellent. That's a whole lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share a little bit about the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce. So as I said, in 2026, we've gone through a little bit of a transition, and there are some key points that we're going to focus on for 2026 and beyond. So the tagline is now think globally, act locally. So what does that mean? So we want to be a pragmatic and business ready organization. We've all gone to meetings and networking events where there's a lot of theory, but nothing happens. What we want to do is be pragmatic. The way that our meetings are run is we make a space for people to meet, network, and book meetings. So we want people to think through their processes and be prepared for growth. The other thing is about us, as I said, being global. We're no longer in a world where you can operate just on a terrestrial footprint, so hand to hand. Now, people like Asari who are involved in our retail group, we will be going out to businesses in Redbridge and meeting with them and engaging with them and giving them tools to help them grow their business, because the high street is super important. But what we also have to understand is that London is a global destination, and Redbridge is a great place to live and work. So we want to give a global opportunity for people to engage with the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce and do business in London. So Dave, I'm going to pick up with you a little bit, simply because I know that you've been doing a lot of work and you've been instrumental in building out the retail team. So just tell us a little bit about what you and I have been discussing as far as what we're going to be doing in retail.
So the idea obviously is to get as many retail businesses in Redbridge on board, not only so that they can connect with other businesses in the borough, but that we can connect them with businesses outside of the borough, across London and even the world, to help them make more money essentially. And we do that through not only our networking, but also through our partnerships with other chambers in London, and our other partnerships with institutions across the capital and across the world. A key thing as well is making sure they also have, I mean, one of the big challenges is, maintaining your online footprint, as you said, while also running a business. So making sure we equip them with the tools to make sure that they're ready to take on the online challenges, as it were. So making sure that they have their website up to date, making sure that they are cyber protected, making sure that their systems and processes and booking systems especially are in place, so that when they are running their business, they don't have to worry about doing all of those extra things. We have people in place to support them with that, ensuring that they have an audit put in place. So we're putting together a package for new retail members who want to sign up, where they will get some social media content produced. They'll get an audit of their business as it stands, and then that will help them identify the areas they need to grow and develop going forwards.
And we'll unpack that with Asari, that package that he's offering them, that audit. And so that's the global aspect of it. The next aspect of it is acting. So we've all been there. We've gone to a meeting. We've had the conversation. You've exchanged business cards only to go home and nothing happens. One of the things that I really respect about Dave, and he's way better at it than I am, is the follow-up. The magic is the follow-up. You can go to a large event and meet tons of people, but if you don't follow up, nothing will happen. So I remember, how did I originally meet you, Dave?
I think we met at an FSB event, and you were promoting the East London Business and Property Expo. So I came along to the expo, and then I reached out and arranged to meet you for a coffee after that.
I don't know. How many cups of coffee would you say you drink per day?
It's anywhere between 5 a day to maybe 250 a week, to be honest. It's very hard for people to say no to a cup of coffee. And I think that's the key with a follow-up, is people don't want to be sold to all the time, and it's about building that relationship. It's a lot easier to build a relationship over a cup of coffee and a genuine conversation. So always inviting people to have that, to deepen the relationship, is the best way forward, in my opinion.
I agree. And you're absolutely right. And Asari, I'm going to bring you in. What has your experience been as far as meeting people at events and then following up? How important is it to follow up? And then I'm going to go to you, Sukin, and ask you the same question.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely essential. I'm a bit of a networking, one of those crazy people that love talking to anybody. But as you said, the follow-up is everything. I'm one of the old school that use business cards. And it's not so much my business card, but it's their business card. So when I meet people, I like to have their business card, because on their business card, I can write some notes. So I always write down the date I met you, where I met you, and anything interesting that I've learned. Because then when I follow up, it's so much easier to say, hi, Anthony, hi, David, we met at blah, blah, blah. I was interested in XYZ. It would be lovely to have, as David said, a coffee or virtual coffee meeting with you. And it's that positioning when I meet people. If I find them interesting, I usually position, can I get, ask them permission for me to follow up and to arrange something, to have a conversation, to explore where we go next. And it's not, as you said, it's not necessarily looking for a client. It could be just, I don't know what contacts you have. I don't know who you are. And you could be the person that could introduce me to my next best client. So I'm not necessarily looking to coach them, just looking to have a relationship. Let's see what happens. And that's where I start from.
Sukin, as we bring you in, I do want to say that one of the points that you made there, Asari, is the business card. Now, I'm old school too. I'm going to push back on some people that all they have is a business card, because you do need some type of CRM. You do need some type of automation. But that physical business card, to me, is more powerful than the electronic exchange of information, because I find that I'll meet people at events, and I have an old phone anyway, but some people want to do that tap, and you don't have an opportunity to have something physical that you can write a note on. It just goes in your phone, and quite often you might forget their name. So Sukin, what would you say are some top tips for networking, and how important is following up?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I really like what you said. Sorry, that was really useful. I'm very new to this. This is probably my first networking event, and I know it's online. So my wife has been running her business for quite some time, so I'm really linking up with her, and we do it. But she goes to networking events all the time, and pretty much what Asari said, about nurturing that relationship, and not so much be about high impact selling or anything like that. It's about just having that conversation, and then reaching out to each other's wider network and seeing who they might be able to, how you can link up, and really it's about do you get a feel for that reliability? Can you trust that person? And just feel as though is that the kind of person that you want to work with? That kind of thing. I think that's much more important at the early stages of any kind of networking event, rather than just going in thinking that a networking event is going to be the key to the success of your business.
Exactly. And I would say, as a chamber, we are focused on giving people the opportunity to act. So, my brother who just joined, Marcellus, told me something, and it's so true, which is talk is the halfway point between a thought and an action. So, you get a thought and then you talk. A lot of people get stuck in what I call analysis paralysis. They don't then act. So, the chamber, we want you to think locally, but we want you to act. We want you to think globally, but act locally. So that brings me on to the next stage of it, the locality. And I'm going to be talking to Asari a little bit more about this, and I'll bring Marcellus in and Erica if you want to add something. But we are in the London borough of Redbridge. Redbridge is a great place to live and work, and it's an exceptionally great place to run a business because there's a lot of diversity in Redbridge as far as the types of business and the types of people that are here. There's a really high percentage of home ownership, and there are a lot of local shops. And Asari, myself, and some other members of the retail subgroup are going to be going from business to business, introducing ourselves to them. And Asari actually has a package or an offer for people in local businesses. Could you tell us a little bit about that, Asari?
Yeah, it's basically looking to do a review, and it's complimentary. It's free for people who are interested in joining the chamber. And basically, what I'm going to do is I go in, we have a conversation, find out a bit about the business, and look at the profit opportunities. Where's the profit growth opportunities in this business? So with all my experience, I can help them. The classic one is a restaurant, right? We've got loads of restaurants in Redbridge.
Yeah.
Now, my reckoning with restaurants is that predominantly restaurants in outer London are not the sort of restaurant that you Google search, right? Okay. Most of the outer London restaurants, it's local people that are going to go to them. If I have my 50th birthday, 60th, well, we wish I could have another 50th, but anyway, 61st birthday party. I had my 60th birthday in December. And what did I do? I looked at restaurants in central London or just generally for something special. That makes sense because I wanted this special event. So I had this, restaurant by the Thames and all this kind of stuff. So that was a special event. But if I'm just going out tonight on a Thursday evening and I just want to go to have a little meal with my wife, I'm not going to Google search and go and look on restaurants all over the London or whatever. We're going to go where we know locally. So that's one of the first things is a lot of local businesses are not doing locally based marketing, not capturing the data from their customers so they can't contact them. There's lots of little tricks and things we can do to improve the profitability of local shops. And here's a classic one. One of the first questions I ask shopkeepers is, do people regularly come up to your shop and go, how long you been here? Yeah. And they go 25 years or 10 years or whatever. And they go, I've never seen you before. And they say, well, how long have you lived there? And I say, I've lived there 10 years or 20 years. I've never seen your shop before. And they can't believe it. And I said, that is a weakness in your marketing. If you've got people who are local, who like your shop, but have never heard of you, you're assuming that because they're walking past or driving past, they've just heard of you. But unless you've put something through their door or you've found a way to reach them, you're invisible to them. And that shows the potential of your marketplace. And also, Redbridge is a affluent area like most London boroughs. There's people moving in and people moving out. And all the people who are moving in, also, you need to reach them. because that's a change in demographic as it's changed. You know, I've met people in retail who said, oh, I'm not sure about the new demographic. I'm used to the old demographic. And I'm thinking, yeah, but if you're in business, you have to adapt to a new change in demographic. As you said, much more diverse, large Asian community, for example, a growing African Caribbean community. If you're not catering for that community and finding a way to reach them, then unfortunately, you can't just keep relying on people who have now left or passed away. You've got to rely on these new marketplaces.
I think, if I could interject, I think you said one thing, and we're actually going to be doing a marketing campaign with door to door. So we are going to actually be sending out flyers to local businesses as well as residential homes, because as you said, quite often people just walk up and down the high street. I know I've done that, and you don't look at every shop. So you might have a need and then you'll look for something, but on your regular everyday, it's just like that driving. It's that that point that you reach where you're just trying to get from point A to point B. You don't look at the shops unless something stands out. And another weakness with most small businesses, and this is their fault, they can't blame the government, they can't blame business rates, they can't blame Redbridge Council. A lot of people don't run their business with the same intensity that they expect other people to run their businesses. So you find a lot of small business owners don't reverse engineer their marketing. So what you said, Asari, about going and looking for a business to, or a restaurant to go for your birthday, you have to reverse engineer that. So if you are running a business, what type of people are looking for your business? What are the key touch points or the key instances or occasions where they'd need your business? And this is where not only SEO, but AEO comes in, because a lot of people now are using ChatGPT and Claude and other online platforms to search. But yet, a lot of business owners are still doing it like it's 2001. So as business owners, and specifically in Redbridge, because that's what we're focused on, we want to make sure that owners have access to technology, they have access to networking, and that they join the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce. So we, as I said, have a strategy. It's think globally, act locally. But a lot of people will probably wonder, well, what do I get? What are the member benefits? Dave, I'm going to put you on the spot because I know you and I have been talking about building out the member benefits in a way that they are fit for 2026 and the types of businesses that we have in Redbridge. And we don't want to be your grandfather's chamber. We don't want to be a bunch of old men standing around talking about how successful their businesses are, still handing out business cards with no CRM, with no strategy, no funnels. So what are some of the benefits that you can highlight, David, for our members or for someone who's considering becoming a member?
I mean, the most obvious one is the connections with businesses in the borough. But then we're also running the subcommittees, and the subcommittees will be directed and aimed at providing value and education for people. And just for example, where we're talking about, the importance of AEO and the changing landscape, the importance of getting yourself on social media and being effective there. I saw there's a Thai restaurant near me, which is usually empty, and there was a reel that went out on Facebook and Instagram, which did really well, and it has got queues out the door now. So things like that. So definitely connecting people with other businesses in the area that can help them, giving them the learning, giving them marketing and promotional materials as well via our website, via our channels such as the magazine and our social media. It might be easier actually if I get the membership benefits up, if that's all right, Anthony.
I'm not sure if you're going to be able to share it, but
okay,
we can go through it.
Yeah, so I mean, we have different tiers, and those different tiers have different benefits. We have a free tier, which people would then be able to join these online meetings. They would have access to the app. They would get a directory listing, which then makes you really easily findable for other businesses in the area. And then we have our founder package, which in terms of value and in terms of, if you're a solopreneur or a micro business, £150 per year, there are some networking groups that are charging 10 times that.
Wait, what? Did you say £150 a month?
No, £150 a year.
Is that did you just glitch? Did you say £150 a year?
I said £150 per year per annum, which works out around £12 a month.
£12
Right, so
50 a month. A
yeah,
cost of one of your cups of coffee and a bagel, depending on where you go, right?
exactly that, right? Or a couple of beers on a Friday evening, if that, right? £150 a year, where you get access to our in-person meetings, you get a social media video generated for you, you get to exhibit at a monthly meeting, so you speak to the entire room, and you'll get a 5-minute speaking slot. If you're a slightly bigger organization, you can go for the gold package, which is still amazing value at £250 for the year. So again, just over £20 a month. You can have up to 20 people in your business as members of the chamber for that. You get to exhibit or present at our quarterly meetings. We'll also do a podcast slot for you. You'll get an article in the magazine, and you'll get to present at our monthly meetings in our promo slots, which are the longer ones. And for the absolute largest organizations, we have a platinum package, which is just under £1,000 a year. We have unlimited members. You get a magazine cover. You get to appear in our magazine as an advert. You get a banner on the website, and you get 50% off exhibiting at our expo. That's a comprehensive list. And really, as we know, Redbridge, the vast majority of businesses are micro businesses. I think it's about 85% are under 10 headcount. So if you own a business, you would be silly not to spend that £12.50 a month to get access to everything you get access to for that price is unbelievable.
So I'm gonna bring Marcellus in, and Erica, if you do want to come in, or if any of the members want to come in, just turn your camera on. If your camera's off, I'll assume you don't want to contribute, and that's fine. But I'm gonna start with Sukin. And as a business owner and someone that has said that they're just getting up and running with networking, what would you say are some benefits that we've already talked about that you find interesting, or things that we might want to consider? And then we'll go to Marcellus.
The thing that while I've been talking is it seems to be geared around retail rather than service-based businesses. So is there something that you my business is pretty much online, and I see clients online, and they're not restricted necessarily to the Redbridge audience. I mean,
excellent. That's an excellent question, and almost as if I paid you to ask that question. So that's part of what I was saying about us being global. So we have the online. The reason why we've been talking a lot about the retail in this particular one is because Asari is one of the leaders of our retail subgroup. So what we've done and what we recognize is exactly what you've said, is the fact that every type of business has a unique need. So we've broken up those needs into some subgroups. So we have a retail group, because as you said, Sukin, a retail business has different needs than a service-based business. One of our biggest groups is actually our business services group. That is run by Carla. So our business services group is made up of accountants, solicitors, people who provide services that aren't limited by geographic location. So as a business services member, you will have access to one-on-one support. You'll also have access to speak at our events. You'll have access to be able to exhibit our events. And as I said, and as David alluded to, most of our members are going to be founder members, because our membership tiers are based on the footprint that you have in Redbridge. So for example, you could be a national organization with thousands of employees, but you only have 2 or 3 physically in Redbridge. Then you would come on as a founder. So if you have a larger organization with a larger footprint that is physically in Redbridge, then that's when you'd go for one of the larger tiers. But the business services group has already done a financial literacy workshop. We have some things in the works with Metro Bank. But I'm going to turn it back over to you. Understanding that we have a business services group, what are some of the things that you'd like to see, or some of the things that would benefit your business? And then Marcellus, I'll ask you the same question right after Sukin is finished.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to understand how Redbridge Commerce can actually help me to promote mindset change, behavioural change, business to the public, to the general public, to be who are health conscious but don't really know what they want to do. So how do I put a strategy together to actually promote that more eloquently than what we are doing? I mean, we're at the early stages of what we're doing at the moment. So, some kind of guidance around how to approach that. And I'm particularly interested in what you said earlier on about the artificial engineer. Is it AEIO
AEO,
that you said
AEO,
about?
yeah.
I'll take it that's artificial search engine
Yeah.
optimization. Is that
Yes,
right?
yes.
Or I've never heard of that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. Yeah.
Okay,
You're
yeah.
absolutely correct. So what I'm hearing you say is some support in kind of structuring and articulating what you're trying to do, getting that in front of people, and potentially support in, referrals and getting people to actually do business with you. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Excellent.
get people becoming familiar with our brand and what we can do for them.
Okay. So Marcellus, I'd ask you the same question. I know you're not physically located in Redbridge, but if you could just firstly introduce yourself and then explain maybe some things that you'd be looking for from the chamber to help support your business.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so Marcellus Lindsay. My title I have on here is Change Architect. My primary work is working with organizations that are going through changes, like introducing AI, for them to get an understanding of what they can do to not only prepare for the change, which is already ongoing, but to make sure that the adoption is at a higher rate, so that way they get the full return on investment out of their investment of time, money, and energy in AI, without a lot of the stress and confusion that seems to be prevalent right now in a lot of businesses. For me, the question I ask, and I'm here to find out more, is because first of all, I see this as a vibrant business community. As I put in my article, thank you for responding to that, David. This is an organization that I've seen is run by business people for business people. So it isn't like you said that grandfathers were sitting around and, oh, I've made 10 billion pounds, etc. It's more the, how do I get to be one of those people who made 10 billion pounds? How can we help each other? For my business, I primarily work in with teams and do training. I'm outside of the Redbridge area. I'd be interested in how I can engage with the people in the Redbridge chamber without, in a way that avoids me feeling like an outsider. Because what I want to do is have relationship with people. What kind of meetings do you have where I can get to know people and it isn't feeling like it's just a sales thing? Because a lot of the network meetings I go to for chambers is everybody is pitching, and they're not focusing on relationships. So I'll make it succinct. What relationship-based infrastructure do you have there so the business people can get to know each other, understand their needs before I get pitched to, and so where I can avoid just pitching to them?
Excellent. And I'm going to bring in Selena as we do that, because Selena would be a good example of that relationship building. So I met Selena through another networking event. She attended one of our events. I believe you're outside of Redbridge as well. Is that correct, Selena? Yeah. So she's out of Redbridge as well. Do you have to stay on mute? Are you able to talk?
Okay, I didn't know I'll be able to speak, but yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
no, I am outside.
Yeah, so she's outside of Redbridge, but Selena is one of the people that has been instrumental in the new look and feel of the chamber, and it came about through relationships. So I met her at another event. We spoke about the chamber. She came to the first meeting and just took some amazing photos. So a lot of the photos that you see from the January, February meeting, as well as the expo, were done by Selena. So how do we help build relationship? First and foremost, we're not one of those membership organizations that all of our focus is getting you to sign up. Once you've signed up, the check is cleared, you don't hear anything from us. Dave, Matthew, myself, we all make it a point to call and talk to the members and get a feel for what their business is about and how we can benefit them. From there, we would try to flag a subgroup. So going back to what Sukan was saying, you're talking a lot about retail. When we have that first conversation with you, we'll get a feel for which subgroup you'd be best suited for. So Selena is in our business services group because she provides a business to business service. So by putting you in a subgroup that is led by a team leader, you have that one-on-one relationship with a team leader. You're in a subgroup of people that are there to help position your business and do business with you. So part of the structure of the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce, unlike BNI, we're not exclusive. So we don't say we're going to have one photographer or one mindset coach or one mortgage broker. We're going to have a lot because there's over 14,000 businesses in Redbridge. But what we do want to do is encourage people to do business with each other. So we want to make sure that people realize that there's more than enough business to go around. But by being in that subgroup, we can put together events for that specific vertical to help them get more business. I've done a lot of talking, so I'm going to hand over to you, Selena. You can tell us a little bit about your business that people can get to know you, and also how they can reach out to you if they need your photography services.
Yeah, thank you very much, Auntie. As always, our first, just talking to each other in that event has brought me to this point, and I'm really appreciative of the opportunity. So I am a photographer, and I specialized in corporate events, portrait shoots, weddings, and on occasion, special occasion, i.e., milestone celebrations and things like that. But my main area is corporate and portrait shoot. So, I'm on Instagram. My business name is Justified Image Photography. I'm on all the media platform, social media platform, Facebook, same name, TikTok, and then, it on WhatsApp. Being placed in the subgroup is also helping me to be able to kind of put myself out there. Over the time I joined, which was just this year, I've met a lot of people, and I've just managed to, gotten some business, a few businesses and few opportunities from the members. So I definitely encourage and recommend this very chamber.
You mentioned some things that I neglected to mention. So I know people probably saw we do a bi-weekly newsletter. So every 2 weeks we send out a newsletter. And in the most recent newsletter, we talked about our WhatsApp group. And people were like, oh my gosh, not another WhatsApp group. WhatsApp isn't for everybody. And I understand that. But what we wanted to do is build a chamber that we are trying to address as many of the different ways that people communicate and their preferences as possible. So we have a large Redbridge Chamber of Commerce WhatsApp group. That's where all our paid and free subscribers can access our service, access each other, promote themselves, not in a spammy way. So one of the rules and guidelines of the WhatsApp group is 1 post per week. And also we want to make sure that within those posts, it's short, it's succinct, and it's transparent. So no MLMs, no call me for prices. So what we want to do is make sure people put their service, their credentials, their prices, and hopefully a LinkedIn link that people can do their due diligence. But we also have a subgroup WhatsApp. So for our business services group, we have a WhatsApp group. For our online and digital, we have a WhatsApp group. So again, it gives people the opportunity to network with each other, to exchange ideas, ask questions, and plan events. So this is our first online meeting, and we'll have one on the last Thursday of each month. However, we also have our in-person meeting, which is the second Wednesday of each month. In the second half of the year, we'll be doing it on Tuesdays because we realize Wednesdays may not be great for everybody. We're moving the meetings around Redbridge, so we're not always going to have them at the same location, because over the next 3 years, Dave and I want to work through the 14,000 businesses plus in Redbridge and make sure that they've had some type of contact with us or access to us. So we're going to be walking the streets, going to retail. We're going to be doing door-to-door door drops. We're doing Google ads. We're doing everything to make sure that people have access to us. Now, I'm going to hand over to Dave for a minute, who looks like he's focused, maybe sending me a message. But Dave, as we are building out this chamber, what are some of the unique things that you're seeing? Because I know that you're involved in a lot of networking groups.
So one of the unique things is the app that we've put together, where people have access to the complete directory of members, and you can contact members directly. So I would say that's definitely one. I would say the energy in the meetings as well is something that you don't find in a lot of networking groups. We keep people on their toes. We keep people moving. We avoid that whole, you get your 30 seconds to pitch, at which point nobody's listening to you. They're just thinking about what they're going to say. We keep people guessing, and I think that's key. Also, the fact that we are very much about celebrating the success of the members, and we do that every month. And that's what I was responding to a question from Marcellus just now. We make sure we get one of our members getting up every month and sharing a success story. And as we continue to work with businesses in Redbridge and beyond, we will start compiling that into data, so you'll be able to see the tracked improvement in businesses from when they become a member, in month 1, month 6, month 12 of being a member, how their business grows, and give you some quantifiable data. And I think that's the other thing as well, is we're very big on the data.
Yes.
In the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce, we are tracking everything. Maybe sometimes a little bit too much, Anthony, not to be critical. But yeah, data is king, and if you can't measure it, you can't improve it.
Yeah.
So measure once, measure twice. I think it's that thing, isn't it? Measure twice, cut once is the old carpenter's saying. And I think we're probably measuring 400 or 500 times a month at the moment.
Yeah.
And tracking what works and what doesn't work. And I think the other thing as well is we're very much about the voice of the people as well. Yeah. So taking on feedback from people, listening to what people want more of and what people want less of, and then adjusting and pivoting as we go, rather than being quite stuck in your ways. I also think the non-exclusivity thing is brilliant as well, because on the surface, where Marcellus does something very similar to what I do, you might say in a BNI meeting we couldn't be in the same room together, but actually I don't see there as being competition. There's always opportunities for collaboration. There's always opportunities to share expertise, to share opportunities, and to, a rising tide lifts all ships. I think that's very much the ethos of the chamber.
I think you've added some really valuable points, and we've gone through some of the member benefits. So one of the things that I think a lot of people appreciate is you get to host and speak at our events. If you're a paying member, not only do you get to speak at some of our events, you then also get to exhibit or potentially host one of our events. So there's 2 different slots. There's a 5-minute education slot. There's a 15-minute presentation. And we try to keep it at that 15 minutes, because one of the things I've learned from attending a lot of networking meetings, if something doesn't interest you, anything more than 15 minutes is too long. So we want to make sure that we keep the meetings at high energy, keep them moving quickly. You get to exhibit at events. Each year we do our business expo. This past year, this past March, we did the East London Business and Property Expo. We had over 550 people there. We have exclusive exhibit opportunities. So this is the time where exclusivity is in place. So we don't allow more than one solicitor or more than one accountant or more, because this way your investment goes a lot further, because you're the only solicitor or digital marketing company that will be in the house. As I've said, we have subcommittees. So we have a digital and online subcommittee. We have a Gen Z subcommittee. We have a women in business subcommittee, business services, property and finance, and charity and social. And the reason why we've done this, to pick up on what Sukin said, is different businesses will have different needs. So we want to make sure that we can address those needs. And I would just encourage everybody to consider joining the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce. Dave did mention that we do have a free membership tier, and that membership tier is there for people to kind of come see what we're about. They won't have the access to speak at events. They won't have the access to exhibit at events. But as Dave said earlier, an annual membership is just £150. So let's put that in context. $12.50 a month. If you come to one meeting, and most of our meetings average about 70 to 80 people, if you come to one meeting and speak and tell people about your business, and if you're proactive, like Asari was saying, you exchange business cards, you get information, and if you're someone like Dave, you book that follow-up appointment. That's an opportunity to speak to 80 to 100 people for £12.50. Now, after that, you can come and speak at future events. You can exhibit at future events. So our schedule looks like this. We have large mega networking events on the second Wednesday of each month. In the second part of the year, it will be the second Tuesday of each month. We have quarterly events. Q1 is our business expo. Q2, we do an event at the Redbridge Town Hall. Q3, we do an event at the Redbridge Town Hall with a different focus. And then in Q4, it's the Ilford and Redbridge Business Awards. And we do that in, well, it's done by Ilford Bid, but we support that as the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce. So being a member of the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce is going to tick a lot of the boxes. It's going to give you access to network and communicate and promote. We have people like Selena who capture amazing photos. Because if you're like me and you speak at events or you have presented at an event in the past and you don't have a full-time staff and a videographer, it's difficult to get that picture you speak, but we take care of that for you. We have podcasts like this. We also have larger speaking events and smaller group meetings. But we are also going to give you the guidance and support you need. So Sukin brought up a really important part. If you're getting up and running, sometimes you just need a sounding board. You need a group of like-minded people who are going to tell you the truth. Because quite often your friends and your family will say, follow your passion. Do what makes you happy. Dave is laughing because you and I both know that that's not the way to build a business. Your business has to be built on data. It needs to be scalable, sustainable, repeatable, and franchisable. You need to be accountable to somebody. I'm going to bring Marcellus in, and then I'm also going to bring Sukin and Asari in. And if you guys could just share some of your experiences in going to networking meetings and maybe a great thing that you've learned from going to a networking meeting, and potentially a top tip for anybody that's watching this. We'll start with Sukin, and then we'll go to Marcellus, and then Asari.
I'm probably the wrong person to start with because it's my first networking event, but this has been really useful. And the thing that's really jumped out at me is that building up the relationships, the chatting, the conversations. I think that's fundamental to it, because I mean I've always hesitated from going to networking events. It's small talk, and everybody's trying to win business off of each other. But I think if you go in with a different approach about just actually getting to know people and just trying to see how people can actually help each other, I think that's really useful. And then it's not necessarily the context; it's the context of the context of the context. And I'm really interested in finding out from David what that Thai restaurant was that's got people queuing around the corner now.
Excellent. So I'm not sure if I said Marcellus and then Asari, but let's go on to Asari, because I know you're really experienced in this area, and I love what you're doing in the retail space. So if you could just share maybe something that you've heard that you like about the chamber, and B, drop another gem for us, because you've been giving us some really valuable input.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I love one of the things I love about the chamber is the groups that you're setting up, because it allows people to get together with natural introducers. So one of the big gems I say about networking is that don't judge a book by its cover. That person you're meeting, the objective of networking, in my view, is to access other people's contacts, to build a relationship with them where they're willing to share potential contacts. Now, it could be a prospect, but it also could be an introducer of somebody who works with people like me, which is why you're setting up the groups, which I think is brilliant. Because if you've got people who have a similar client base, but we're not competing, we can introduce each other to those people who have those needs, the services that we each have. And could be a lifetime or a very long introducer list. Because one of the mistakes I see with networking is people go to sell and nobody goes to buy. So there's a misconception, you know, networking is not a marketplace. It is a networking place. So people go to network and then people are just selling you their business cards or their flyers. And it's like, I haven't even asked for it. So I would say go with an open mind. Never judge a book by its cover. I'll give you a classic example. I met somebody at a networking group who was the mother covering for one of the members. And people were quite friendly, were very friendly to her, but a little bit patronizing because she was an older lady and people thought there's no point in networking with her. She hasn't got a business. She hasn't even got a job. So it's all nice her covering, but it's a waste of time talking to her. But guess what? This same woman wanted a new kitchen and she wanted to go on a cruise. Now, you can be very naive thinking that it's a waste of time talking to somebody because you think they don't have a worthy business, but you have no idea who they know. Their grandson, their brother, their uncle, their aunt, their daughter could be the HR director of a company you've been trying to get into for years. And that little conversation could get you access. So never underestimate who has access. I was at one meeting where somebody asked for Alan Sugar, and we know Alan Sugar lives in Redbridge, right? And people laughed when they heard it. But there was two people in that room who worked for him. One did catering for his wife, and one cleaned his car. So you never know who people know. You know, everybody uses someone. So I just think that's one of the nuggets is that until you speak to people, you have no idea who they know or who they hang out with.
We're going to go to Marcellus, and then I'm going to close on that point. And as I said, Marcellus is my brother, so he can attest to what the account that I will give. But Marcellus, over to you. So what would you say is a gem or a piece of advice that you would give people as far as networking?
It would go back to relationship first. I operate by a philosophy that has 4 cornerstones, and the first cornerstone is people first, always. It goes back to the point that Asari was saying, because we don't know how this is going to show up. And going in there with a mindset where you don't value other people's contribution because you're trying to sell to them is a foothold for not getting the results you need. It's not going to happen overnight. It is 2-3 meetings. And just remember, there's a book called Death Came Third about public speaking, that culturally across the world, they found out that people are more afraid of going into a room with people they don't know and speaking to them than they are of dying. So when we come from that thing with the kind of empathy and the open mind to say that it's as tough on them, and maybe because I'm bringing the whole of me to this, not just my job title and pitch, there are so many other things that I can contribute to this group, and that's how it comes back, as well as what Asari said. The fact is, you're going to find out stuff around people around the role, that there are other needs that you may be able to point them to that builds a relationship that they in turn send people back to you. So
Excellent.
It's people first, always.
People first, always. And I'll close on this as we close the meeting. So this is our very first online Redbridge Chamber of Commerce meeting. We're here to help you grow your business. We're not just focused on getting people to sign up and then moving on. We want to grow an organic network of people who genuinely want other people to do well. One of the challenges that people face when it comes to networking is approaching it with a scarcity mindset. People forget that there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people looking for your service, depending on what it is. And what I mean by that is, if you were to go to Google and search Thai restaurants in Redbridge, now that's a local physical type of thing. So you're going to be limited by how many people can physically go to your shop. But if you have an online service or something that can be delivered online, there may be 30, 100, 1 million people searching for that particular thing. So when you go to a networking meeting, as Asari said, and Sukin and Dave and Marcellus can probably attest to you, it's not about that person. It's not just about the person that you're meeting. But if you're thinking with a scarcity, limited way of thinking, you're like, I have to get this business from this person, or because the person's wearing a hoodie and doesn't look the way that I expect someone should look, I'm not going to talk to them. But, and my brother can attest to this. I grew up in the Bronx, and I was in the music industry early in life. And one of my biggest breaks and most life-changing moments came about from someone stepping in dog poop. Literally. I was in Brooklyn. I was on my way to go see a producer friend of mine. And there's this woman walking in front of me. And it was one of those things where the universe aligns. And I looked up, and right when I looked up, she stepped in some dog poop. And as you would do, you look around to see if anyone saw, and we made eye contact. And I just said something silly like, oh, that's going to ruin your day. Anyway, we kept walking to the train station. This lady's name is Sharice Arrington. Turned out she was a singer. She was, trying to develop a singing career. She got signed to MCA, same time as Mary J. Blige. Her manager, his name is Silky. That's not his real name, but he goes by Silky Don. He's one of my closest friends now. He opened so many doors for me in the music industry and just in general. My point is this: you don't know who you're meeting. And as Asari said so eloquently, it may not be the person you're meeting. It may be the person next to the person next to the person. But at the end of the day, as human beings, we all have value. So we shouldn't be judging people based on the fact that they do or don't wear a suit. They're young, they're old, they're a woman, they're a man, they're bald-headed, or even ginger. It shouldn't matter. What we should be looking at is this is an opportunity to connect with another human being, learn a little bit about them, they learn a little bit about you. What happens from there happens. I'm a big fan of speaking about purpose. If you've ever seen any of my long form conversations or keynote presentations, I talk about purpose. And it's built on this premise. What is for me is for me. Nobody can take what is designed for me. What is for you is for you. And I can't take what is designed for you. So there is no competition. I'm a full-time mortgage broker. I know that some people are going to look at my face and not want to do business with me. Just like sometimes I look at other people's faces and I don't want to do business with them. It's just how we're built. Sometimes it's an energy thing. So Dave and I, and I'm going to let you close out, Dave, because I've done way too much talking, but Dave and I are building a team of people that will be able to support Redbridge businesses. We're building subgroups that you can feel supported on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. We're trying to get people together who are like-minded, who are engaged, who are energetic, and actually want to see other businesses succeed. So we appreciate everybody joining us for this meeting. I'm going to hand over to Dave, that Dave can kind of summarize who we are, what we're doing, and tell us a little bit about our next in-person meeting.
So thank you, Anthony. Yeah, I mean, I think it's all been said already. The Redbridge Chamber is here to support businesses in Redbridge and beyond to think globally and act locally in order to help grow your business through building your network and giving you the skills and systems to make you succeed in business and in life in general. And we're very much about building relationships rather than transactions. So build a relationship first and the transactions will come later. Think like a farmer, not a hunter. A hunter goes out and maybe catches one rabbit and eats rabbit for a day. A farmer plants seeds, nurtures plants, and eats for his whole life. On the 13th of May, we have our next in-person event at SIRM College. We've got some great speakers, including someone from the council, and TV Edwards are coming along and doing a talk about the hot topic in property at the moment, which is the Renters Reform Bill. So if you are a landlord, or even if you're not, if you're a tenant, this is something that you need to know more about. And again, we'll have close to 100 people, if not more, in the room for you to connect with, build relationships with, and hopefully do some good business.
All right, we appreciate everybody tuning in, and make sure you check the link in description. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because that's how we'll build the channel and we'll be able to bring more people in that are going to share valuable information. We appreciate everybody joining, watching, listening, and be sure to join the Redbridge Chamber of Commerce.